Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. Don't worry, this isn't false advertising. Mr. Brown will be joining us very, very soon in around about 5 minutes. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. Anyway, get your comments in the section below. Today, we're going to be discussing everything really regarding Leeds United. We're going to be discussing the Rangers game later on, which is supposedly behind closed doors today. We're going to also be speaking about the Harrogate Town game, which is on Friday. We're going to be speaking about Glenn Kamara. We're going to be speaking about Jayden Bogle. We're going to be speaking about Callum O'Hare. We've got a lot to discuss. It feels like it's ramped itself back up again, and Leeds United are back in full swing, no pun intended. So, afternoon to everybody inside the chat. Don't worry, Brownie is on his way. I know you guys are here for his thoughts and to get his idea on what's going on at this moment in time with the 49ers. Are they doing too much? Are they doing too little? Some are slanting on the other side of things in terms of doing too little. I want to hear your thoughts. Comment section below as well. We are recording across the pond as well, which is podcast audio only. You can get that on Patreon as well. I know a lot of you guys like listening to these sorts of things, going to work, going to school, on your lunchtime, whatever. Audio only is available on the Patreon if you guys are interested in that stuff. Link in the description below. We do have merchandise as well, which is available for your winter, autumnal, summer garms. Make sure you have a look. Okay, let's have a quick look. Roland is in the building. Hope you're well, mate. Riley's here. Afternoon. Leeds currently leading Glasgow Rangers by 1-0. Yeah, I'd heard that they were playing now, but then I heard they were playing later on. Hi, Conor. Brownie. Afternoon, Conor and Mr. Brown. Afternoon, Con. You're well. All good, mate. All good. A little bit throaty, but you know, is what it is. Oh, here's such a missed opportunity. I guess that the best place to start on is Southgate. I know a lot of you guys are probably not bothered by it, but stay tuned. We are going to be speaking very Leeds United. I've just seen Tony say match on together from Ireland. He's probably not bothered about it whatsoever, but seeing as I've been asked the question, yeah, a little bit gutted by it, to be honest with you, but a contingency plan. I think he needed to move on. I think the one that I'd be looking at is probably either Pochettino or Lee Carsley, to be honest. Lee Carsley's playing an unbelievable brand of football for the 21s at the minute. Very exciting, very progressive. But Poch is just like an absolute similar vein to what Southgate is, isn't he? He's just Southgate, but has a little bit more pedigree on his sheet of doing things. So yeah, I like the Poch shout. I think you bring the players together again, which is what Southgate did really well. I think Poch handles the media really well as well. But yeah, it's a tough decision. Really, really tough decision. So we'll wait and see. Southgate has probably taken England as far as he can, I think. Yeah, exactly. So Giles Jackson, Blackburn. I'm not sure, mate. I'm a little bit in the same boat. I don't know how Leeds are beating Rangers 1-0. I don't know how people are getting this information. I've been looking all day to see what time it's on. So yeah, if we are beating Rangers, then brilliant. But yeah, I'm not sure either. Okay, so let's start on the main point before Brownie gets in here. And it's circling around Callum O'Hare. A lot of Leeds fans are a little bit upset about this. You know, he's obviously joined Sheffield United as well as Kiefer Moore. A lot of reports were suggesting that Leeds were in for him. Okay, now I think this is probably why Leeds fans are maybe a little bit disappointed. We're in for him. Am I a little bit disappointed? I am, and I put it out this morning about being disappointed. However, it was more of a replacement stance from my perspective. It was more of, well, if Rutter is to go, if, you know, there's a central attacking midfield place right there that Leeds can install another player, that's where I'd be disappointed with Callum O'Hare. Right now, if you're looking at a 4-2-3-1 formation with the players that we have right now, even if Willie Nonto's to go right now and Dan James is to come in, I don't see where O'Hare gets in. I don't see it. And wherever he goes, he will want to be guaranteed a starting place 100%. Now, with Sheffield United, they have a spot for him, don't they, in that cam role? And then you've got Hamer the other side of him as well, Albaza the other side of him as well. So, listen, Sheffield United is probably ready-made for him right now. So that makes a lot of sense. For me, it's a player of really good caliber. It's a player who definitely could transition to the Premier League, in my opinion. I'm surprised he didn't have Premier League offers. Maybe he did have Premier League offers. But yeah, I think at least, and this has been the problem with Leeds for coming down when there was other players linked with us. It's all about like Carvalho. Carvalho in January is a prime example. Go get him. But you can't guarantee him minutes. You cannot guarantee that he's going to be starting for Leeds United week in, week out. So on that premise, you're going to get another club coming in and saying, look, well, yeah, he'll play for us week in, week out, 100%. So that's between Leeds and Sheffield United. Another one, a lot of people have been speaking about Kiefer Moore, who we're calling for on this channel in January. get rid of Bamford when his stock's high, get Kiefer Moore in on a low wage, and you're going to get more from him. You're not going to be able to guarantee Kiefer Moore minutes. It's just not going to happen with the 3 players that we've got up front right now. And would you take Kiefer Moore over a Joseph playing regularly throughout the season? Different type of players, but probably not. And that's by the way, that's the argument I'm talking on right now. If it's between Moore and Bamford, I'm taking Moore every day of the week. Moore Peru, you're probably looking at Moore again, just on the basis that he's an out-and-out number 9. But when you're talking about Joseph or Kiefer Moore, look, I'm picking Joseph all day. So yeah, that's where I am with it, really. Just before we get going, everybody, your man is in the building right now. We'll get going. Mr. David Brown, how's it going, bud?
I'm good, mate. You?
Not too bad, mate. You've caught me talking about Kiefer Moore and Callum O'Hare, mate. A perfect place to start. I don't think it is, Brownie. We've got
our very championship.
Albert, mate. It's weird because, like, obviously, I've been doing this sort of on and off. I've been away with my girlfriend and away with my family as well. And England have just been the primary focus. Actually, one trip was pretty much focused around England, to be honest. I don't know what it is right now. I don't know if it's because it hurts more now because of what's happened with England, but it does very much feel like I'm still not fully back in Leeds mode yet. Someone's just told me that apparently we're beating Glasgow Rangers right now, even though I didn't know we were playing Glasgow Rangers right now. So that's new to me. So yeah, mate, I'm a little bit on the beach with it, to be honest. What about yourself?
I mean, look, pre-season's only just started, hasn't it? A couple of weeks ago. As we saw last season, the deadline goes right up until the start of September. So that's when the championship really starts. But having said that, I think that's what cost us last year, not having that start behind us. We were always playing catch up. So I think this summer's one where it's really got to be nailed ASAP. So like there were talks of Willie Nonto transfer yesterday. For me, if he's going, he just needs to go.
Yeah, I agree.
It needs to be done ASAP, get the money in, and then spend what we want. But I was having a conversation with my brother about, he's like with his loyalties, he was more worried about Harrogate Town on Friday night than he was the Euros final. He was saying, he asked me a question and I couldn't really answer, and it was a good question. What would you prefer, a couple more incomings or keeping the hold of the likes of Somerville, Nonto and Rutter? What would be classed as a win? Because at the end of the season, we all thought Somerville's gone, Rutter could go, Nonto gone, and they're still here. So what would be classed as a win in your eyes? Would keeping them be the primary thing that, do you know what, that's the most important thing in the window, or do we need 1 or 2 more in? Because if this is going to sound really harsh and taking sentiment out of it all with Archie Gray's name, but if he was the only one we lost, would you class that as a successful window? And I'm erring to the side of probably.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably primary focus in it, Brownie, and that comes back to the whole thing that we were speaking about months ago of when it gets to the window, it's going to be 1 in, 1 out. I think that's how it's still going to be, and if you to get a Nonto going, which looks probably more likely, done it with Everton getting that 50 mil for Onana, if he is going to go, and I wouldn't, Brownie, be like, I wouldn't really want us to just be focusing on Dan James coming in on right wing and that's it. You can't. I do think you do need to go out and get a replacement. We don't want to be thin on the ground. I guess the point is how fringe we are in areas now. Let's be honest, bud. Cooper's going to go. Cresswell's gone. Byram's been kept on. Jaden Anthony's gone back. Conor Roberts has gone back. Obviously, we've got Road on.
You're listing players there. So you've obviously Shackleton, Cresswell, Cooper. Yeah. We're naming players that didn't really play.
But that's it, innit? I guess that's it. I wonder, you keep hold of the 3, of course you do. But what I'm saying is the overall squad in a 50-odd game season is massive, and you need to bolster that squad, I guess.
Yeah, but we've got Strike to come back in. He was a player that we missed for a large spell. I think from December onwards, January onwards, we didn't really see much of Pascal Strike. So would he be a replacement for Cooper? Yeah, but I do get what you're saying. You don't want to be lightweight. And it feels like it's been that way with Leeds for the last 4 or 5 seasons. It's been square pegs in round holes at times because we just haven't got enough players in that position.
What have you
Right.
made of what have you made of what's gone on so far? Then obviously Kamara looks like he's going, who's probably another big one who's gone. Obviously played the majority of last season. Looks like he's going for 8.6. So Leeds are making a profit on that. 28 years of age. How I saw it, Brownie, with him in particular. We'll get on to Archie in just a second, but how I saw it with Kamara was when we spent the £5 million on him. I didn't really see it as something that we were going to make back on him. I didn't see as like, when you spent £5 million on Kamara, it's almost right. Look, you're going to lose profit, but he's going to do well for it. You spent the money, only £5 million, but he's going to do well for us. I genuinely didn't see, and maybe this is it's a profit game, obviously, for the 49ers, to keep the club's finances at a good, even kill, but also to invest in the squad. It did feel a little bit like, oh, okay, manager was calling for a bit of experience. We've got experience there. And now we've let him go. And what are your overall thoughts? And do you think it's a good deal or a bad deal?
I think it's a good. I mean, I've got to be true to what we were saying at the end of last season. He didn't score. He didn't set goals up. He was rarely in the opposition box. You can go out and get another player who can pass a ball sideways and backwards. Well, you say it's harsh, but I can remember me and you having the conversation about him and Gruev about pass completion was always 98%, but there were always 5-yard passes sideways and backwards.
Is it more? Do you think it's more like continuity and having just a little bit of continuity from last season? Do you think that's a little bit?
I think I'll be more annoyed if Gruev goes as well, because then you've lost both.
Yeah.
Whereas I do want to see another set midfield. I don't want to see us bring in 8 million and not use it. Of course, I want to see another midfielder brought in, but I just felt like him and Gruev were so similar. And I just think if you're looking at our goals throughout the team, it was Somerville, Rutter, James. There was no goals elsewhere, and I think that's one area. If I was a manager looking at this team, we need more goals from midfield. Yeah, the season we went up with Chelsea, there was Click chipping in with goals. There were goals coming all over the place. Hernandez was chipping in with goals. We just didn't really see that last year with central midfielders pinging goals, and there was one between the two of them, Gruev's free kick against Norwich. That was it. So would I have wanted to keep him? Of course, but I do feel like you can go out and get another central midfielder that did what he did.
Yeah. Archie, I guess, was the other thing that we're probably gonna have to touch on as well. That's kind of two. If you're classifying Archie as a number 8, Kamara, is he a number 8? Don't really know with him being in the double pivot, but that's probably what Rangers fans previously would have said about him. I guess you're losing 2 midfielders there if we're looking at it like that. Obviously the deal to Spurs and us getting Rodon back. What were your thoughts on that? Were you angry or were you happy with it?
I wouldn't say happy. I wouldn't say angry. I do feel that makes us massively light. It's never good to see. I didn't think Gray would go this summer. It's never good to see a player coming up with so much promise just get cherry picked. But that's the way of football now, isn't it? It just seems to be the way football goes. Do I think it's a bit early? Possibly. Will he play much at Tottenham? Doubtful. But on the flip side, was there an attachment to him because his surname was Gray and we hyped him more than needed? I'm not saying we did. I'm just saying, does that play a part? Because Leeds fans are very sentimental to players, especially players that come through the academy. And obviously Eddie Gray is such a great for the club. To see a Gray leave, not good, but he had some amazing games. He had some games where he weren't so great, but he was 17 years old. You've seen what that Yamal, whatever he's called for Spain, doing it at that level. When these generational talents do it at such young age, it does raise your eyebrows. But we said the same about Jack Clark. We all thought he's going to be the next big thing, and he went to Tottenham and it didn't work. And then he ended up at QPR and Sunderland, and he's on his way back up. But have we got a good price for a 17-year-old? Yeah, because I think Tottenham are paying for potential. But as far as Rodon went, I thought he was excellent up till the international break when Wales went out. And then after that, in the last stage of the season, not just him, I'm not pinpointing on him, but I think collectively after that international break, we just weren't the same. We weren't the same team. So I think it's a good good signing bringing Rodon in. But I think the telling tale with the Gray deal is, what do we do with that money? If it just sits in a bank account and doesn't do anything, then it's not a good deal. But if we reinvest in that in a couple of players that strengthens us, which was what was said in the statement when he went, they said that the money would be used to strengthen our position for automatic promotion.
Yeah.
Then I think it is a good deal. But that hinges on how we spend it.
Rothwell for you? Good little addition. I was happy with it, Brownie, I have to say.
29
years of age, got more goals than our entire midfield last season. Apparently, it's a crap signing, according to some.
Well, this is what I mean. I remember him coming on in a game for Southampton and scoring 2, and I think it was Huddersfield. They were losing, and he came on and scored both goals. And
scored the worldie as well, didn't he? Scored goals for him as well.
He chips in. I think he played 17 times for Southampton and scored 4. So,
Brownie, the big thing for me is, before you get going, mate, I think lack of last season. I feel with the Marcelo Bielsa side, there was runners, mate. Runners, and you can look at it with the England side, can't you, mate? When it's like Kane, either side, you probably needed Gordon, and the other side, you needed, I don't know, Saka or whoever, but you needed runners. I feel with this Leeds side, at points, you've got Somerville who fronts up the defenders, looks at taking a man on, but I don't really see many runners anyway. You might see Firpo overlapping, but you don't really get anything from midfield, and that probably aids to your point of, look, there's no goals coming from midfield. At least we know with Rothwell, we've got a runner there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's weird because I saw so many similarities with watching England and watching Leeds last season.
Me too. And the manager.
The pragmatism. I mean, yes, there was times where, like Norwich away, where he'd just go absolutely gung-ho and throw 15 attackers on the pitch. I know that's cheating, but you know what I mean? Throwing all the attackers on the pitch and just going through it. But the amount of times where we'd be 1-0 up and we just play keep ball and just sit and just hold on to a 1-0. And that was deemed game management good. It's weird how when it's England, it's deemed boring, handbrake on. Mm-hmm. And listen, I'm not saying Southgate was out. I've said for 5-6 years that you just needed to take the shackles off and the handbrake off and just let them go. And it felt like that at times with Leeds last season.
Yeah, I agree.
It just needed you 1-0 up, go and then go get the next one. But you're right, mate. Where would that next one come from? Because we weren't blessed with attacking midfielders. They were very all same-minded. Even if you put Archie Gray in the middle, you wouldn't naturally get him bursting into the box. They were all a very similar type of player, and that's possibly why the Kamara deal doesn't bother me too much. Whether it had been Kamara or Gruev, they were both very similar type of players. So it's probably an area where it's been identified that, do you know what, we do need another 5 to 8 goals from a centre midfielder just to boost us in that area. Because if you look at the top teams, I think we were below them all on goals scored.
Yeah, from the midfield as well. It looks like, by the way, that the Rangers game is taking place today, but it's full of, I mean, Brownie, have you ever heard of Miller Megson, with the greatest of respect?
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad because I'm going to Harrogate on Friday night, so I'd have been raging if I'd have got to Harrogate and it'd have been full.
You staying over, taking the missus? That'd be quite nice.
No, it's only half an hour, mate.
That's what I mean. I've always said that. People around here are always like, "Oh, you going to Harrogate? Do you stay over?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm from like my mum and dad live in York. It's like 20-minute drive." This is the depth, mate, as we speak right now. And we forgot about Cairns, didn't we? I want to get your thoughts on him, but Melier, Darlow, Cairns. Right back, you're looking at Byram and Christensen. Centre backs, Rodon, Strout, Verba for now. Firpo by himself at left back. Obviously, we know Byram can go on that side as well. Midfield, Ampadu, Gruev, and Rothwell in terms of depth.
And Aronson.
He's put him a bit further forward there, but he's put Nonto and James on the right. Cam, you've got Jorginho, Aronson, Gelhardt. Left side, just Somerville. And then up top, Bamford, Joseph, and Perot. So probably the ones that we're lacking there. If Somerville is to go, we need to obviously replace him with the quality that he has on this side. Rothwell as the 8, or like as the more advanced midfielder, is sort of by himself in that position. Firpo is very, very light. And then you're probably looking at right back as well, Brownie, because Christensen and Byram is not the depth you want to go up, is it?
just before we get into Christensen, I'd chuck Charlie Crew in there as well because he's highly thought of.
Yeah.
He's played for Wales. I think he'll be the next emerging one. This time last year, we probably would have thought we'd seen the likes of Gray doing what he did. So Crew could be a welcome addition. Now, when we went down, I remember a certain person telling me that Dan James wasn't good enough.
To me.
No, just in general, Dan James was deemed a speedboat. No, not just you. Speedboat, even me included. No end product. Speedboat, no driver, and he was probably I say he was better than Nonto last year in the championship.
Adama Traore without a gym membership.
Yeah, right. And I've said so many times, the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is huge. It's
so who are you referring to? That
I'm referring to Aronson, Christensen, and Wöber. Wöber's just played in the European Championships in Austria's team, who we said were really good. They were a good team. He had a bit of a stinker against France, but he's up against France. In the other two games, one he didn't play, and the other one he actually played. He's done all right. You're playing in the Championship. You're not telling me that they're going to look horrendous like they did in the Premier League. I'm not having it.
No, they'll definitely be better.
Christensen's just been to Euros with Denmark.
Oh, and Brownie, right on cue. I think Mr. Romano was tweeted out because apparently our journalists don't get anything anymore. Understand Eintracht Frankfurt a minute ago are interested in former AS Roma fullback Rasmus Christensen, now back at Leeds. He's one of the name on the shortlist. Yeah, this guy's agent is absolutely unbelievable. Fair play to him.
That though, but
don't you backtrack on him.
I'm not backtracking on him. I'm saying the gap between the Premier League and the gap between the Premier League and Serie A in terms of amount of good teams. Diego Llorente went to Italy and
at least do you know what though? Do you know what though?
European final.
Do you know what though? Within Brownie, at least we had a period under Bielsa, didn't we? Where he scored against City, didn't he? I think did he notch one against Liverpool as well? Where for 6 months he was actually pretty good, wasn't he? So at least you had that. Christensen.
You're looking at these guys in a Marsh. Did Marsh make anybody look? He had Rafinha on long throw-ins. Did Marsh make any of these players? I'm just playing devil. Did Marsh make anybody look good?
No. Would you? Okay. Well,
Calvin
would you?
Phillips even looked a sack of doo-doo in the Jesse Marsh team.
I think the thing is, Brownie, is I guess with Rasmus, he's got 3 years left on his deal. I think you look at him, don't you, when you think, well, you are not going to we know he's not going to work in the Premier League. You know, as a football manager, as an ex-football player, surely you look at this guy's attributes and think he's just getting absolutely torched by wingers week in, week out of his starting right back. So, yeah, I think you're right. It might work in the Championship. I'm a little bit more sceptical. But
can I just ask you how he played in that Premier League with him getting torched by wingers? Because so did Junior Firpo, and he even got his own song last season. Junior Firpo was horrendous in the Premier League. He got annihilated on a weekly basis. There was a running joke that he was a nailed-on yellow card. Sky Bet wouldn't even take bets on him getting booked in games. And last season, lo and behold, he was the next thing since Maradona in the Championship.
But does that mean you can attribute, every single player that we're talking about here? I think we've got to be careful in terms of saying, well, Aronson's dropping down now, Christensen's dropping down now, all these players are dropping down, so they're going to be immeasurably better. They might not be. There's a possibility that they might not be.
I'm just saying Dan James and Firpo, who stunk the Premier League out, were two of our best players last season.
Yeah.
And yeah. I do get what you're saying where, yeah, they genuinely might not be that good, but I've got a little bit of a...
So would you be happy with Rasmus starting at right back at the start of the season?
Yeah.
Oh, Brownie, no way, mate.
What? So under Marsh, the wings weren't even used. We had 10 bodies in the middle of the pitch, and it was fullbacks, all the best, pal. That's how we played. Fullbacks, we'd have the whole team at one side of the pitch. You knew yourself. All teams had to do was switch the ball to the other side of the pitch, and it'd be 3v1 all the time. Would I be happy? I'd be happier than it had been Jamie Shackleton.
Well, the Sheffield United's big signing.
This is what I mean, mate. And do I want us to go out and buy a right back? Of course I do. Would Jayden Bogle be a massive improvement? Of course it would.
What you thought? What you thought?
When I was saying Ayling was better than Christensen, I was getting hammered.
I'm not sure. Well, listen, I knew Ayling was off it. In my opinion, I think me and you had differences, but I've been calling him. Never mind League One.
Look at another one, Meslier. I was Mellier's one of his biggest critics in the Premier League. It was raining goals. Was he that bad last season? He had his moments, but I think he was better.
Yeah, it's context, isn't it, Brownie? Like with Premier League and the Championship, you have to apply mass context to every sort of you're comparing Meslier to himself in the Premier League to Championship. We were bossing a lot of games last season. Did he face as many shots? No. Did he keep us in games even when shots were faced? Probably not as much as he should have done.
Here's one for you and for the comments, because listen, I'm just trying to balance it up. I'm not going on a Rasmus Christensen's next Cafu. But list me some wingers in the Championship. Not ours, because ours are a level above. List me some wingers in the Championship.
I was trying to say out and out, trying to look at out and out wingers now, but when you get teams who are playing the three, so I'd say Morgan Whittaker, Johnny Rowe, Clark, yeah, I'm just trying to think of the big ones.
The kid at Preston was quite tricky against Miller. Yeah. And now name me some in the Premier League that they were playing against.
Yeah.
The levels are.
Do you have to look? Do you have to look long term then? If we've got a Bogle in Brown, if you get a Bogle in, you probably think to yourself, do you know what? He'll probably acclimatise in the Premier League. That's surely how we've got to be thinking, isn't it? Not just Christensen, we'll have him for a year, or Firpo, we'll have him for a year.
He was probably one of Sheffield United's shining lights, wasn't he, last season in the Premier League?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I was just trying to say, so you got Johnny Rowe, Clark, Miller,
Whittaker.
It's not Salah, Sancho, Rashford. It's just different levels. It's not Foden cutting in or Bernardo Silva. It's just different.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Cole Palmer cutting in on him. This is the gulf that these players will face. And do I see Christensen there? No. But would it be the end of the world if it was?
Are you a little bit worried about? You mentioned Nonto there, and I think you bang on. Are you a little bit worried? And I think I am. And I think it's happened with Leeds last bloody season with Sinistera. But it does feel, Brownie, that with a lot of these big players, naturally they're going to be vulnerable. Hypothetically, I said it the other day. Matoma goes to Chelsea or something stupid like that for 50 million quid. As Onana's gone to Everton, Aston Villa, and then they've come in for Nonto. It feels like with 2 or 3 days left of the window, how have the 49ers got to play this? Because let's say, hypothetically, back end of the window, a team goes, you know what, screw it. We're lacking in that position. We're going to go for Somerville on that left-hand side. They go for him. They hit that 40 million mark. Have Leeds at that point got to go? No. Look, we're 4 days left. You're not going. Because I'm just 30 say, yeah, there. I can't. I don't think we can be doing it again. I know we kind of had to do it with Sinistera with the lawsuit, but us getting Jaden Anthony, I don't care what the club says, was not part of the plan. So I just feel this is the worry now, isn't it? Being a Championship club with major assets that can be stripped, mate. It's the fact that we're constantly vulnerable right until the end of the window.
I totally agree, mate. The club have to be strong. They've already pocketed 50 million for Gray.
Yeah.
They're looking at another 8 to 10 million for Kamara. There's 60 million before we even started talking about Christensen.
Even 4 or 5 probably for you got 4 for Rocker, haven't you? 4 for Llorente, 4 for Creswell.
Yeah, and then if Christensen and Verba go, you've already pocketed 75, 80 million. Yeah. So if they were to then sell a Somerville with a week left of the window, you're thinking, well, how bad are our finances? Because you're not replacing Somerville in 4 days. So, and this is why I said about the Nonto thing. If he's going, it needs to be done now. Don't want to be going into the season starting, in playing a couple of games and him off skis, because then you're having to re-put someone else into another position. And
it's like even here, Brown. It's like we're just from the Spanish side of things, because I've said to you, mate, haven't I? And it's becoming a thing right now. We're having some different things to talk about every bloody day. But according to a massive Spanish outlet now, Betis are in negotiations with League. With Firpo, we know he's got 12 months left on his deal, but apparently he's making an effort to get back to Betis. Obviously, that's where he started. This
is what I just mean, isn't it? This is
lot.
what I mean about the Christensen. So just to be clear, I'm not saying that Christensen's the answer. I'm just saying that the league is different. Would you have seen yourself 12 months ago being gutted that Firpo's off to Betis? You wouldn't have been. You'd have been packing his bags. You'd have been driving him to the airport. But because he's dropped into the Championship and had a half-decent season, he's got his own song. It's just... I think we're very fickle to think, oh, they've turned their back on Leeds. They've gone to there. They've done this. They've done that. It's the job. They're not Leeds fans. Their job is to play football, and players want to play football at the highest they possibly can. So if you've got an opportunity to go to the Bundesliga or play in the Championship, you're playing in the Bundesliga, and that's just stark reality.
Yeah, that's why I kind of, when it comes to Aronson, and there was the whole rumours about, but he's rejected Bundesliga bids. I don't think it was that. I think it was the fact that he's probably looked at your Firpos, he's probably looked at your Dan James and thought to himself, do you know what? If I play in the Championship, there's a big likelihood that I play a lot better. I'm going to be selected most weeks. Whereas in the Bundesliga, it's not really worked for me, and I've not acclimatized for it. I genuinely believe that was a decision from Leeds and Aronson to just get the best out of him as a Leeds player, I think.
There's there's a comment from Paul saying I feel relaxed about it, and I am, because Conor, if the season was to start tomorrow with what we've got, where do you think we'd finish?
God. Well, with what we've got right now, I mean, things are going on with Firpo now and Rasmus.
What we've got,
Nonto.
I don't see us not being in that top two with what we've got in the Championship.
I said top six, yeah.
So, all right, so top six, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of sixth. Name me 5 teams with a better squad than us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. Sheffield United have just signed Jamie Shackleton. That's where I know they've signed Kiefer Moore and Callum O'Hare.
Yeah.
Would we be happy if Jamie Shackleton was starting right back? No, we would not.
I think Luton are going to be a problem.
Okay, so Luton, Burnley.
Yeah.
At a push, Burnley.
You're probably going to throw the usual suspects in there, aren't you? Coventry are probably going to have a good season again. It's probably going to be.
They just lost Callum O'Hare.
Norwich. Yeah, Norwich.
Coventry have just lost their best player.
What if
we all care so much? Of course we do. I think we just panic a little bit more than we need to.
Brownie won their Sheffield Wednesday.
Well, I mean, I work for Sheffield Wednesday, so I can't really say anything on them. But I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better than where they were.
Danny Roll.
But,
good acquisition.
What
I think the conversation will
change from Sheffield Wednesday and put into the Leeds team.
No, it's the manager. It's the manager, isn't it? But you can have in the Championship, you can have bang average squads and a very, very good manager, and you can get up into that top 6.
Yeah, of course, but I just don't see how we don't finish near the top with what we've got.
Yeah,
I mean, the end of the season was disappointing totally after that international break. But come on, your spine of your team, you've still got Ampadu, Rodon, Meslier, Gruev, Rutter, Somerville, Dan James, Nonto, Pirot. Dear me, I think it was a failure that the team didn't go up. I do. Yeah, we got beat by Leicester and Southampton in automatic promotion, and Ipswich performed miracles. But that squad is a promotion squad. There's no two ways about it. And I don't see this team. I mean, this time last year, I was getting told 12th. We'd finished mid-table. We were getting told playoffs at best. We got 90-odd. What would we get? 90-odd points?
Do you think we should start a show called this? What do you reckon?
Clueless 1 and Clueless 2. Well, Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
Tom and Jerry.
I'm seeing things in the comments about Chef Wednesdays, QPRs, Coventry's. I'm telling you now, their fans would swap our squad for theirs. 100%.
Yeah, and I guess that's the whole conversation, Brownie, innit? Getting back to what we were talking about at the start. Keeping hold of what's your target? What is your target for the 49ers? And I think this for you, who is someone who is probably very positive about what they're looking at right now. And I'm the exact same, by the way. I think, you build the squad in the way that they're going about it. I think this addition of Cairns is smart. Penny, for your thoughts on that. I think Cairns is smart. I think he's probably going to push himself above Darlow. Me and you have had chats about Darlow off air, but I don't see him doing anything when it comes to pushing Ilan Melee. But Cairns, at least, has been part of the fabric before. Rodon is an obviously top addition because we beat Premier League clubs to get him. And Rothwell, I think he's a really good addition for Leeds at this level, part of a team that got promoted last season. So we're doing all right on the incomings. But I do think it hinges very, very much, as we've spoken about, on Somerville and when they let, when or if they let Somerville go, because we're having a completely different conversation about the squad right now and the depth and the quality of it. I think if the metronome of everything that is Leeds pretty much last season leaves the club.
100%. Obviously, it's a completely different conversation if Somerville was to go, but he hasn't, and I've not actually heard any noise about Somerville, to be honest. I don't want to tempt fate, but I haven't.
Yeah,
there's been the only noise has been Nonto and little bits on Firpo. I've heard no noise on Rutter. And we both went in to the playoff final on our preview and said the loser would go up next season, and nothing has changed my mind on that.
Yeah.
You bang right with the Somerville one, merely because of the statement that was given when Gray left. The statement said, not word for word, but it ran along the lines of, this transfer will help us push our squad to automatic promotion. So that to me tells me that they were going to reinvest that 50 million back into the squad. Okay. So that doesn't tell me that they need to then sell another 50 million. But football changes very quickly. We could be having a completely different conversation next week if Nonto's gone and Somerville's gone, because then you are a bit of panic stations because them need replacing. But as it stands, they don't. And it's all right, people saying, oh, they're going to go. I was in that category. Oh, they're gone. End of the season, Somerville's gone. No drama, he's gone. He's still here.
Yeah.
When's the season start? 3 weeks?
Yeah. 3 weeks.
Is it 3? Have a look at the
I don't know how long it keeps going for. Yeah.
10th of August start. So 3 weeks time, we're heading into the first game of the season.
I think Nonto goes. Do you?
Yeah, there's always noise about him and Everton, isn't there? There's never smoke without fire, and out of the four of them, him, James, Somerville, and Rutter, he's probably the one that I'd not be as worried about going out of the four. I've got to stay true to what I've said. I think I can count on one hand how many good games he's set alight. He scored the winner. He scored the winner at Bristol. He scored at Man United away after about 60 seconds. He's had flashes of brilliance, but has he really? Put it this way, Dan James was more effective than him last season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He really was.
Would you be looking at going for another right winger as well, or would you fine with Nonto going and then invest it somewhere else?
That's an interesting question. Where would I want to invest the most? Sounds daft, but I still probably want a number 9. But I feel like I've been saying that since 2018.
You not fancy giving Joseph a go this season?
Would you be happy with him starting out and out every week?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. Honestly, with what I've seen of him, I'm not like that. I'm very much like risk averse. But I look at him and I think you could be a big problem for a lot of defenders. Once again, Brown, it's like we've spoken about, mate. It is the Championship. I think someone with pace and hunger and a bit of tenacity scares the absolute living daylights out of defenders.
I think I'd like to see him start. I think I'd reserve judgment until I'd seen him start more games, because what I mean by that is there is a massive difference
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
in starting games and coming on in games when it's stretched and open.
It's almost it's quite funny actually when you look at England once again. It's almost the Kane and Watkins, isn't it? It's almost a little bit like that with Joseph and Bamford. It's almost a little. Not Bamford. Sorry, not Bamford's the wrong example. Probably Peru. Yeah,
well,
Peru
yeah,
with Kane.
Yeah. I think fullbacks, mate. I think fullbacks we were massively hampered with especially on the right. I think Byram was reluctant or couldn't get over the halfway line as much as we'd like to see.
He's just a Brownie. He's just a very limited player. He's injury ridden. He's a little bit older. And it's no fault of his own. He's had a brilliant career when you look at where he's gone. But we all said it at the start. He's just a limited player. He's not going to give you 9 out of 10, 8, 9 out of 10 performances. Every other week. You're looking at 6 out of 10 really. When he's fit.
We were so used to the year we went up with Ayling, but bombing down that wing constantly. He was another attacking player. And I mean, he's gone to Middlesbrough and he got 8 assists from January. It's just a shame that he was getting caught out defensively. But I mean, going the other way, I think we missed a lot on that right-hand side. Particularly, I mean, Firpo did his bit on the left-hand side with the overlaps of Somerville, but we very rarely saw the right-back overlapping a James or a Nonto. So I think Jayden Bogle does do that. He gets forward a lot. I think centre-half wise, I'm more than comfortable with Rodon, Ampadu and Strike is needed.
Verbe lovely.
Verbe's another one. So I think them four's fine.
Yeah.
Centre midfield, light. Rothwell and Gruev. Obviously, we've lost Gray and Kamara. Well, not lost. It looks like he's going. So I'd like another centre midfielder. So full-back, centre mid. I think wingers, would be fine. If Nonto went, I think he'd be fine. I just think you see James play more. And maybe 1 or 2 in on loan. You could get a winger in on loan.
Yeah, Ash says Bogle awful defensively. Ash, I'd love to know your alternative would be, mate. I've spoken about Hume on here before. I think it's the Sunderland right, but I don't think there's any chance we get him. Van Ewick at Coventry. There's an argument that he's better going forward than he is defensively as well. Bogle, albeit been the Sheffield United side, he's been in the Premier League recently. He's done well in terms of just being one of their better players. Sometimes Brownie, and I'm not saying Ash, you're off this thought process, mate. I'm talking generally on some of the comment reactions I get on the Twitter posts. I think genuinely some Leeds fans believe that we're going to get like mid-bracket Premier League players who are just going to decide, we're going to go play for the mighty Leeds United in the Championship because of the lure and the grandeur of the club. I just think we need to sort of maybe reset those expectations a little bit. Bogle, for me, where we're at right now, Rothwell, where we're at right now, are good additions, are really decent additions, and seeing a lot of it's underwhelming. They're bad signings. I'm not saying Ash was saying that, by the way. I'm just saying generally, the bad signings, they're not good enough. I don't know what is good enough for Leeds United. That's what we need to maybe like start measuring again for me.
No, I totally agree. Because it is Leeds, we always expect. And it's a bit like, I said this before, everybody always wants a new shiny toy. Like Christmas, birthdays. Like my lad's just had his birthday. Got him stuff for his birthday. I'm thinking, does he actually need all this? Because he's got bedroom full of stuff, but it's his birthday, so you need new stuff. And it's like that in a transfer. It's like that in a transfer window. Every club always wants a new shiny toy, but it's interesting that when you mentioned about Kamara and Gruev, you said about continuity and the same sort of partnerships emerging. Well, would that be such a bad thing if Leeds had the same partnerships this season? Because barring a freak from Ipswich, you're in the top 2. In the last 10, 15 years, that points totally goes up. So I'm just saying that.
Well, I think without any exits whatsoever, and if you'd have kept that exact same team and brought into the season,
everybody's happy, aren't they?
Yeah, everybody's happy, definitely.
I do. The Conor Roberts thing's not going away, is it? There still seems to be him rearing his head. Interesting to see if people would prefer him or Bogle. But we used the loan market last season as well with Jayden Anthony, so we're not averse to doing something in that respect. So I think we'll be okay. But I do concede, Conor, that you are right that it could be a completely different conversation in, say, 2 weeks' time if Somerville's gone
A
to,
week.
I don't know.
A week.
So
Yeah.
Somerville could have gone to Palace, Newcastle, Brighton, wherever, and Nonto's gone to Everton, and we're sat with hands on heads like you are, thinking, Christ, what do we do now?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I agree.
I do think the whole Red Bull thing, and we've said it, you've said it, which is so right last year, Leeds United in the Championship should be bullying teams, should be bullying and going, do you know what? We're having him, and him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just feels like we always do things slow.
It does, doesn't it? It does. It does. It feels like we have to be. I don't know if you've always thought this as well, but it even runs back to Auto. You know, we went to the Prem and there was Watkins there for Brentford because they didn't get promoted, and we went in instead. Leeds were all linked with Watkins, and we went and did Rodrigo instead. And it's like Watkins is there. He's not gone up. There's no one in for him. We've got the money from them. We spend 30 million plus on Rodrigo. It's like, oh my god! But it does feel like Leeds almost do it the unique indie way. But I think do you know the good thing about it, Brownie? Like I look at Rothwell and I think that's not some sort of smart ass, we're better than everybody else recruitment buy. That is just someone who you know is going to be solid at this level and is going to be like a good acquisition. Like, so that's giving me a little bit of hope, to be honest.
And it was done without anybody knowing, quiet, just all of a sudden got announced. And it's interesting because we see Callum O'Hare and Kiefer Moore go to Sheffield United and we're saying, good Championship players.
Yeah.
We go and sign a good Championship player and it's not good enough.
No. I remember when Southampton got Rothwell and everyone was like, oh, that's a top signing because they got Rothwell and it might have been Brooks. I think they got Brooks in Jan, and everyone was like, oh, top signings them. And I remember seeing it on the timeline with Leeds fans, and then suddenly, yeah, because he's not started for Southampton for X amount of games, it's a bad sign. Yeah, it's weird how football works, mate, isn't it?
It is, and I think everybody's in the same sort of opinion that right now we seem okay, but
yeah. 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 Don't know if I've just gone off there, mate. Have I gone off? Can you hear me?
No, it was me, mate. I'm just saying,
sorry.
if Gray, Somerville, and Nonto are all to go, you're looking at 130 million, 140 million. That has to be a war chest to bring in whatever.
100%. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. I think we just need that signing, don't we? We just need a signing where it bowls over the fan base, almost like an Ampadu sign. I think Bogle would be that. I think Bogle coming in, you go, bloody hell, that's a good one.
But we have spent 10 million on Rodon. But it seems to have gone under the radar because we had him last year. But this is what I meant about the loan system. Last year on loan, we had Rodon, we had Anthony. We did do all right in that respect. So there's no reason why we can't go out and get another couple like that on loan as well as spending what we can. But it's just, I think you're right. Obviously, the 49ers were new to them all. They've put red on the kit. And we've not really seen a stamp of authority yet. Do you know what I mean? Like that marquee signing is to say, all right then. But on the flip side, they've not taken over Leeds and invested in Leeds to be sat in the Championship.
Yeah,
they don't want a Championship club.
Just reported now from the Sheffield Star. Leeds have reportedly seen its second bid for Jayden Bogle turned down. Clubs are still around 3 million apart in terms of valuation, who is in the final year of his contract. And it's one of those where we it's that thing again, in it, Brownie, where it's like you're almost like, just go get it done. But I guess they've got to be careful because, as you know, in football, apparently Bogle wants the move, but if it's his last year of his deal, it's like, you know, if they're wanting like 7-8 million quid, it's a lot of money. But if Leeds have got a little bit of a war chest, which it feels like we have at the minute, I know there's some that's gone against the accounts and stuff, but it feels like Leeds are in a healthy position. Do you just pay the money for a 23-year-old who's clearly like, you know, peak of his powers in the Championship and just go get it done?
That's it, and it's a bit like poker face, isn't it? Who's going to blink first? I think it's one that will get done. It's just a case of who comes out with, like, you think if the 3 million apart, try and find some middle ground, put another 1.5 down, or another million and another million on promotion if we go up.
Yeah.
And just see it over the line. But it's interesting that people are chucking Sheffield United into this top 2 talk, and we could have Bogle and they could have Shackleton. It just seems to me it's because it's Leeds and we're so used to not doing things right or well that we all have a negative opinion on it. But if we're
England in club format.
England and Leeds is just such a good comparison, isn't it? We're just used to failure. But if you were a supporter of one of the other 23 teams, you'd be looking at Leeds and be envious.
What are your thoughts on the start then? Pretty tough start, isn't
it? Yeah, it is.
Portsmouth, what is it? Portsmouth, West Brom, Hull. Wednesday.
Let's get it up.
I think Wednesday are in there as well, aren't they?
I know Wednesday's early on in August. So we've got Portsmouth, Middlesbrough, West Brom, Sheffield Wednesday, Hull, Burnley. It's
a tough start, that, isn't it?
It is a tough start. It's a very tough start.
Yeah.
But can it be any worse than the start we had last year?
Yeah, struggled, didn't we? Struggled.
Is it good to get these teams out of the way early before teams? I heard this from a Portsmouth perspective that they were glad to be playing Leeds away first because they're out of the way before they get into the groove.
Yeah, that's probably that makes sense.
Yeah. So is it good to be playing the likes of these Burnleys and Hulls and before they really click into gear? You can look at it both ways because then obviously later on in the season they could have suspensions and injuries, blah, blah, blah. But I guess we've got to play them all at some point. And weirdly, it's not the tougher games that worry me. It's the teams against clubs that they're going to be down at the bottom where we just, a bit like England again, against your Hollands and that, you seem to be all right. But
I think Farke's got to adapt, Tanny, this year because there was too much lateral passing side to side, not as much. I didn't feel Brownie and me and you've spoken about it. There wasn't as enough impetus to your Rotherhams, your Sheffield Wednesdays, all these teams in QPR in and around the bottom of the table. It was too easy, I felt, for a lot of these teams to set up against Leeds. We have to adapt, and it can't just be when teams come at Leeds where they're at our best transitionally. Leeds have to find another way because we can't have the results. And we got 90 points. We did get 90 points last season, but look at how many points more we could have got if it wasn't for the sloppy losses against and draws against a lot, the bottom six.
And that's what I mean with England. Look at the group stage for England: Slovenia, Serbia, draws. Couldn't find a way through them. And no, Denmark was a draw. Anyway, 5 points out of them 3, not good enough. But I think we've said before, we didn't do the double over any of the bottom 6. And you're looking at finishing on 90 points. You only need to pick up another 2 wins out of that lot at the bottom 6 and you get promoted. And it just seemed to be Leeds' Achilles heel last season. It really did go into the likes of Rotherham's and QPR. I mean, the game at QPR was a disgrace. Yeah, I remember going down on the Friday night and 4-0.
Should have been more.
It was just embarrassing. But then you have the nights away at Leicester when you win 1-0, and
that happens in seasons though, Brownie, doesn't it? What you need to do is make sure there's not more yin than yang. You need to make sure there's a bit more of an equilibrium there, not just David just put it up, 25 points dropped against bottom, poor bottom half of the table sides, and what you're doing there, Brownie, is you're putting more pressure on yourselves to win the top half games, aren't you? That's
exactly that, mate. But he's looking. That means we'd have finished on 115 points, which is barbaric. Really. And we're sat here talking about is he good enough? Is he good enough?
We'd still finish 4th.
I know, mate. But it just. The other thing that carried Leeds a lot last year was the home form, and that's got to be something that happens again this year. I think the first game we got beat was Blackburn in the penultimate game of the season. I think we lost our last 2 home games, but Blackburn and Southampton. But the home form was massive, which when you
it's got to get back to it, hasn't it?
When you are dropping these points against the bottom 6, it puts even more pressure on Leeds at home to win these games. But I stand by the fact that any team coming to Ellen Road next year will be happy with a point. They'll see it as a good result, which to me tells me that Leeds are one of the teams to beat this season.
Yeah.
I do. I genuinely think, as Leeds fans, we are worried and panicked because of all the failures we have seen in recent years. But I do believe the other 23 clubs would be envious of Leeds' team. And I wouldn't. I'd say all 23 would probably swap their squads for Leeds.
Yeah, it's a good place to end, mate. We've been going for about an hour on people's lunch break. So really appreciate everybody stopping by. Slap a like on the video. We'll be able to get Brownie on again, of course. But cheers for hopping along, mate. Really appreciate it. And yeah, mate, I'm sure we'll do something soon. But let's hope we get off to winning ways on Friday, mate.
I know, hopefully, mate. I'm going to Harrogate on Friday, like I said. So it'd be nice. Be nice to get back to club football.
It will, mate. It will. We'll leave it there. Brownie, cheers for joining, mate. And guys, we'll see you in a bit. Cheers.